courtroom was heavy with silence. Every breath, every shuffle of paper, every tick of the clock felt like it carried the weight of judgment. At the center sat a man with calloused hands, his once proud shoulders now hunched, his eyes shadowed by years of sacrifice and pain. His name was Daniel Carter, a decorated war veteran, a single father, and now a prisoner awaiting sentencing. And just when the world was ready to turn its back on him, a little girl's voice shattered the silence. His daughter, tiny, fragile, but fierce in her innocence, stood up and whispered words that would soon echo across the world. "Free my dad and I'll heal you." Laughter rippled through the courtroom. Lawyers scoffed, reporters smirked, even the judge raised his brows in disbelief. But no one yet knew that this little girl's promise wasn't empty. It was a vow that would change everything. Before I dive deeper into this powerful story, don't forget to hit lucky if this already touched your heart. Comment what you do in the little girl's place. And subscribe to Whispers of Kindness for more life-changing stories. The battle before the courtroom. Daniel Carter hadn't always been the man people now whispered about. Once, he was the hero of his unit, a soldier who bled for his country, who watched brothers fall in battle, and who carried scars both visible and invisible as badges of honor. But when he returned home, instead of medals and gratitude, he found nothing but silence. Jobs were scarce. Bills piled up. His wife, unable to bear the strain of living with a man haunted by nightmares, walked out, leaving him alone with their only child, Emily, just 7 years old at the time. Daniel did everything he could to give Emily a life of dignity. He took small jobs, mechanic, night guard, construction laborer, anything to keep food on the table. But fate seemed merciless. One medical emergency after another drained what little savings he had. Then came the breaking point. Emily collapsed at school, her small body trembling with seizures. The diagnosis, a rare autoimmune disease that required expensive treatment Daniel could never afford. In desperation, Daniel made a choice, a foolish, reckless choice. He tried to rob a pharmacy, not for money, but for the medicine his daughter needed to stay alive. He never even made it out the door. Caught humiliated, branded a criminal, Daniel now sat in court, facing years behind bars. Yet, through it all, Emily never saw a criminal in her father. She saw her protector, her hero, the man who had carried her on his shoulders through park strolls, who whispered bedtime stories when fear gripped her, who wiped her tears and promised her the world, even when the world had abandoned them. The day of judgment, the courtroom was filled that morning. Reporters scribbled furiously, eager to capture the fall of a soldier-turned-convict. Prosecutors painted Daniel as reckless, dangerous, a man unable to control his own demons. The judge, stern and weary, listened with heavy eyes. And then came Emily's moment. Too young to understand laws, yet old enough to feel truth, she rose from her seat. Her tiny hands clutched the edge of the wooden bench. As she looked up at the towering judge, her voice trembled at first, but then it steadied with a conviction that made even the hardest hearts pause. "My dad isn't bad," she said. "He's my hero. He saved people in the war, and he saves me every day. Please don't take him away. If you free my dad, I'll heal you." The words hung in the air. The judge frowned, unsure what to make of such a strange plea. The gallery burst into quiet chuckles. A little girl, talking about healing a judge. It sounded absurd. They thought it was childish fantasy, nothing more. But Emily's eyes didn't waver. She looked straight at the judge, her small voice carrying a weight far beyond her years. The judge's secret unknown to the public. Judge Harold Whitmore was fighting his own private war. He had recently been diagnosed with a terminal illness, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He kept it hidden from the world, but the news had shattered him. Every morning he looked in the mirror and saw not authority, not justice, but a man running out of time. When Emily said those words, "I'll heal you," his composure cracked. How could she possibly know? Was it a coincidence? Or was it something more? He leaned forward, his voice sharp but tinged with curiosity. "And how exactly will you heal me, young lady?" Emily smiled, fragile but radiant. "With love, with hope, with prayers. My daddy says soldiers don't stop fighting, even when they're tired. And I'll fight for you too. If you free him, I'll send you drawings every day to make you smile. I'll ask God every night to make you strong again, and I'll never give up until you're healed." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Some rolled their eyes. Others smirked at her innocence. But Daniel's eyes filled with tears. His daughter, fighting with nothing but love, was braver than any soldier he'd ever known. A father's sacrifice. Daniel stood, shackled and broken. "Your Honor," he said, his voice raw, "don't punish her for my mistakes. She's just a child. I don't regret what I did. I'd do it again if it meant saving her life. But I beg you, don't let her grow up without me. She's all I have." The judge's gavel struck, but his heart was shaken. Against all odds, instead of the harsh sentence everyone expected, Judge Whitmore gave Daniel probation, community service, and mandated therapy instead of prison. It was a miracle in itself. Emily had spoken, and somehow the world listened. The promise fulfilled. True to her word, Emily began sending Judge Whitmore letters, drawings, and prayers. Every week, colorful envelopes filled his desk. A picture of a smiling son, a crayon sketch of a soldier carrying his daughter, a handwritten note saying, "You're not sick, you're strong. Keep fighting." The old judge found himself waiting for those letters like a lifeline. His nights, once drowned in despair, began to carry a flicker of hope. He started treatment he had almost given up on, and though science couldn't explain everything, doctors soon marveled at his resilience. His illness slowed. His strength returned, and he credited it all to the unwavering faith of a little girl. Years later, Daniel rebuilt his life. With the court's mercy, he found work at a veterans organization, counseling other soldiers lost in the fog of trauma. He grew stronger, not just for himself, but for Emily. She, too, grew, her health improving, her spirit shining. And every year, on the anniversary of that court hearing, Judge Whitmore would join them for dinner, no longer the stern figure behind a bench, but family. The world had mocked Emily's words, but in the end, she was right. She did heal him, not with medicine, but with love, faith, and the kind of hope that can resurrect even the most broken souls. Before we close this story, if this journey touched your heart, please comment your thoughts on how love can heal the impossible. And subscribe to Whispers of Kinness so you never miss another story that proves miracles do exist. Closing message: sometimes the world laughs at innocence, mocks kindness, and underestimates the power of love. But what Emily taught everyone that day is that healing doesn't always come from hospitals or prescriptions. Sometimes healing comes from a child's unwavering belief, from a father's sacrifice, and from the simple promise to never stop fighting for each other. So the next time you see someone struggling, remember you don't need all the answers. Sometimes all it takes to heal is to believe, to love, and to stand by those who need you most. Because in the end, love is the greatest healer of all.